his wife won't let him get an Expos tattoo. You're listening to Game Points with Matthew Ross on TSN 690.
11:35 on TSN 690. Welcome to an early edition of Game Points. We're here until 1 o'clock today. We're brought to you by RoyalCeramic.com. You got to check out the website, but more importantly, you got to check out the location. Visit their two-floor showroom in St. Leonard, 8845 Rue Pascal Gagnon. And on Saturdays, they usually have some food they put out for the visitors. They deal with contractors, but also the general public as well. And they are the exclusive providers in Canada of Robert Cavalli tiles. And this is a place that's been around over 35 years, but they have a wide range of pricing in tiles. When I walked in there, I said, I don't think I can afford some of the stuff that they have. That was pretty wrong. Sure, they have some high-end stuff, but they also have some incredible pricing as well on tiles. They produce Quebec-made cabinets as well, and you can work with their in-house designer on that. If you pick countertops, quartz, marble, or granite, you can choose your own slab. I went in the back and saw the incredible inventory of different countertops that they have. And if you're putting in those tiles in the bathroom or wherever, you can get the electric floor heating system that goes underneath. Oh, man, wouldn't that be nice in the winter, huh? Or apparently in May, as it's going to, snow tomorrow a little bit in the morning? Good Lord. Check them out. RoyalCeramic.com is the website, 514-324-0002. All right, let's talk some hockey here with our next guest. He is the editor-in-chief of thefourthperiod.com and the magazine as well. You can follow him on twitter.com/thefourthperiod. It is Dave Pagnotta. How you doing? Dave, you wearing your Raptors shirt today or what?
No, not yet. I'm layered right now. It's cold here in Toronto too.
It is not fun. Not fun this weather.
This was, middle of May. What's this 5-degree business?
It's nuts, man. I just don't get it. The question is, though, are you putting sweaters on the dogs? If so, we may have to hang up.
No, they're well equipped for this weather. The Huskies are good. They're loving what's going on right now.
All right, fair enough. Dave, big game tonight. We'll get to Tampa and Pittsburgh a little later on, but San Jose versus St. Louis. Some great storylines coming in. You know how I feel. I want the Sharks to go ahead here, but if we're looking at this thing objectively, isn't it fair to say that Ken Hitchcock is getting more of the attention just because he's a great soundbite and St. Louis has had a lot of the frustrations, but in fact, Pete DeBoer may be one of the more underrated coaches in the NHL? Would you agree with that assessment?
100%, yeah. And his demeanor is almost polar opposite of that of Kenny Hitchcock. He's very calm. He controls himself very well. He's even keel, whether they lose, 10-0 or win 10-0. He kind of gives you that same demeanor in a press conference after the fact, or in an interview. He's very calm, cool, and collected. For an NHL coach, especially at this stage when you're in the the conference final now, and you're this even keel. It's interesting to watch, especially with some of the coaches that we have, obviously in the NHL. But he's managed to get his guys going. Now, maybe behind closed doors, he blows up on everybody, and it's a different story. I don't think that's the case. But from what we've seen from a public perspective, it's interesting the way he goes about it versus how some other coaches kind of yell and use sarcasm and all that fun stuff. He's kind of opposite in that respect.
Dave Pagnotta from the Fourth Period joining us here on Game Points with Matthew Ross. We're here until 1 o'clock. Still to come, Broncos rookie defensive tackle Kyle Pecco will join us. Dave, looking at the depth of defense here, is that where you give the Blues the edge?
Yeah, I think you have to. As good of a performance that San Jose's blue line overall has kind of shown everybody in the first two rounds. St. Louis has been known for their defensive game and the defensive assets that they have, in their own zone in the back end. And they've played a factor into the first two rounds for St. Louis and throughout the season for the Blues. There's no question. And having Brian Elliott kind of, playing at the top of his game ever certainly, weighs in as well and makes the defenseman's job a little bit easier. But overall, the depth on St. Louis's blue line, you give them the nod over that of the Sharks.
All right, Dave, 8 o'clock start tonight. Elliott versus Martin Jones. Not exactly the marquee matchup that we thought we would see at this point in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That said, though, do you read much into the shutout that Jones had in Game 7 in the previous round? Or is this kind of, starts fresh here? Who do you give the edge in nets to?
I think with the momentum going into everything, I give a bit of an edge to Brian Elliott. And he's going to need to be absolutely lights out like he was in the first 2 rounds, minus Game 6 against, in the last round. But he's going to need to be that good because of the amount of offensive depth that the Sharks really have to play with. Logan Couture has been absolutely lights out for them, for the Sharks. And you've got Pavelski, you've got Thornton, you've got Marlowe, you've got Ward. There are there's Hurdle, there's a lot of assets and weapons that come with the Sharks' arsenal. And, this is taking nothing away from Martin Jones. He was spectacular in the first couple of rounds. And the icing on the cake for them certainly was the shutout. But I think more so than anything, you have to kind of rely on that of Brian Elliott. And I think I give him, just based on his performance, I certainly give him a bit of an edge here.
All right, back to the Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay series. Obviously some drama now in goaltending for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Vasilevsky has certainly been a prospect that people have been looking at for a long, long time. He possibly gets his turn to shine in Game 2. Do you see much of a drop-off in nets here?
No. Look, he's effectively the goalie of the future, for Tampa. So I don't know if it's necessarily, Bishop has been a superstar goalie for the Lightning all season. He was great last season as well for them. It certainly hurts to an extent. And we don't really know how long he's going to be out for or what the real situation is. At least that's still my understanding, that we don't fully know, other than kind of day to day how it is for him. But for Tampa, they've got a big question that going into this off season and even next off season or next season or whenever they make a decision with regards to their goaltending. Is Bishop going to be their guy, or are they going to move over and go with the younger kids? So this is an opportunity for them to kind of really see what he has under pressure cooker situations. We saw a little bit of that last season in the playoffs as well. We're going to see it obviously again here tomorrow night in Game 2 against Pittsburgh. I don't think there's that much panic. I don't think there's any panic right now for Tampa. Now, if he comes in and all of a sudden it's 5-0 after the first 30 minutes for Pittsburgh, then yeah, they've got a bit of an issue. But I can't see that being the case.
Chatting with Dave Pagnotta from the fourthperiod.com here on Game Points with Matthew Ross. The storyline, obviously, for the Penguins side of things, the lack of production from Crosby and Malkin. But what are you seeing on ice, Dave, as you're watching these games? Do you see them playing well? What do you see?
Well, just specifically with regards to Crosby and Malkin?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to get isolated, and they're going to get the pressure put on them, and teams are going to want to shut them down as much as they possibly can. So, am I surprised that they're not leading the playoffs in scoring? Not really, because teams know that they've got to contain these guys as much as they can, and the depth that Pittsburgh has kind of allows them to get away with that every now and again. So if Malkin and Crosby aren't really getting the job done, and they've got that third line, which was outstanding for him in the first 2 rounds, of Bonino, Kessel, and Hagelin. So for Pittsburgh, they've got to spread things out, and they've got to wear the defense thin of the opposition. And if Crosby's really motoring out there, then that's gonna take out a bit of fuel out of the tank for the other team's defense. Malkin, the same situation. So there's only so much more you can go to defending the team overall. So it's expected. I'm not shocked that they don't have 15, 20 points at this stage, but this is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've got a ton of depth, and if you're trying to contain Crosby, you've got other elements to worry about. Tampa did a good job of that in Game 1, but this could potentially have 6 more games out of it, and to do it over that haul, we've seen in the first couple of rounds, it's not that easy.
And in terms of Stamkos, no word there, huh?
It just other than the fact that he says that he thinks he's going to come back, or I guess he kind of said that he will come back sometime this round. We just don't know when. I kind of suspect we'll hear some news around, midweek next week after Game 2 to see when he kind of slots in. We could be looking at a Game 4 scenario for Steven Stamkos, but he may feel a lot better in the next few days and suit up for Game 3.
Just wrapping up with Dave Pagnotta from thefourthperiod.com. All right, Dave, give me your predictions for the San Jose St. Louis series, and then what you like, what you see happening in Game 2 for Pitt versus Tampa.
Well, I picked the Sharks in 7 over St. Louis. I mean, it could go really either way depending on who really steps up for either team.
Yep.
But I think the offense is going to kind of be a little too much for St. Louis in this one. That is San Jose, so I got the Sharks. And in Game 2, I expect there to be a ton of pressure, on Tampa's goaltending and their defense. In this one, I think Pittsburgh ends up evening out the series.
Thefourthperiod.com is the website. The Fourth Period as well on Twitter. Dave, thanks so much. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, thanks, man. You too.
All right, there you go. That's Dave Pagnotta from thefourthperiod.com. It's Game Points with Matthew Ross on TSN 690. Early edition today due to the Raptors game we'll broadcast for you at 3:30 today. Up next here on the program, Mo Khan checks in, talking some Alouettes and CFL. Now we're a few days removed from the CFL draft. The dust has settled. What does Mo think about what the Alouettes did and how the Owls are shaping up as we get ready? Hey, guess what? Saint Jean Baptiste Day, the first game of the year for the Montreal Alouettes. It's coming up. Stay tuned.